Good morning. So I'd like to start off with a little story, or not a story, just kind of a little parable. So any of you who are parents, you will kind of understand this. So you have a baby, it's about less than a year old, and you have to take it to the hospital to get these shots. These babies need to get these vaccines and things like that, for health benefits, to prevent different diseases and stuff. So the day comes, you schedule your appointment, and the day comes where you have to take the baby to the hospital. And you're about to take this baby to see the doctor, and the doctor's going to be there being all nice and greet the baby and everything, and he's going to give that baby a shot. And that poor baby has never experienced anything like that. And when you give the baby the shot, they scream and they yell and they're crying, their tears fill their eyes, and they turn and look to the mommy or daddy and they just want to hug, and they just want you to rescue them from that big bad doctor. You know that the doctor is trying to help the child through this vaccine. You knew before the baby even got there that the baby was going to go through this bit of suffering. Although a parent knows that and expects that, there's oftentimes still a feeling that rises up in the parent that just kind of wants to take that doctor and throw him out the window for what he's done to your baby. You get like this kind of uprising, feeling of like, hey, even though you fully understand what's going on and that what's happening is actually good for the baby. You know that it's ultimately for the baby's own good, but still there's a part of you that loves the baby so much that you hate to see it suffer. You don't like to see the baby suffering, and you really kind of want to do what you can to minimize that suffering. So sometimes it expresses itself through compassion, and you hug the baby and hold it. Or other times it might express itself through anger, at the doctor, like, hey bro, did you have to push that needle in so hard? Even though the doctor may not have been pushing it in hard, but maybe just emotional responses to the situation that's taking place. So the thing I want to point out is, we understand that what's happening there is not necessarily going to kill the baby. It's actually for the baby's good, but it's still an emotional thing that takes place. And so now I want to relate this to Christ. So Jesus was healing people and, doing his miracles and just kind of ministering and doing his thing. When a couple of his friends, or some servants of his friends, came to him and said, hey, the man that you love is sick, and we would like you to come heal him. And so Jesus decides that he's going to go heal him, but he says, don't worry, it's not going to end in death. I'll be there. And so he waits 3 days. I believe it's 3 or 4 days he waits before he even goes to see this man, which is Lazarus. And he eventually makes his way down there to go see Lazarus. And he's greeted by one of the sisters. And she's just crying and weeping and hugging him. And he's telling her, hey, where is he at? Don't worry. I told you that he would rise. And, the sister responds with like, oh, yeah, I know. Everyone's going to rise again at the last day. And Jesus says, no, I am the resurrection. He's trying to explain to her that, I'm going to rise him up. It's my power. I'm the resurrection. And she's like, yeah, I know. I believe that you're a prophet, And then more people end up coming over, and they're like crying and weeping. And then everybody comes, and he's like, Jesus gets sad. And there's that verse, it's the shortest verse of the Bible, where it says, Jesus wept. I believe that's the shortest verse of the Bible. And so the question is like, why would Jesus be crying if he knew he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. He already knew he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. On his way there, he told his disciples that he was going to go raise him from the dead. When the servants of Lazarus' family came, he told them it's not going to end in death. He knew that he was going to perform this miracle. So he says to them, roll away the stone, and he raises Lazarus, just like he knew he was going to do. So why would he be crying if he knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead? And I propose the reason why Jesus is crying is the same reason why a parent gets emotional when their child is getting a vaccine, the little baby, because he sees the torment that we're going through, and he loves us and cares for us so much that even though he knows ultimately what's taking place is for our benefit and we will be saved, it still hurts his heart that we're going through it. So much so that he wept. So I like to point to this because I want us to know that we don't serve a God who was just up there like, get in that room and get your shot. The shot's good for you. He's compassionate and caring and patient and kind and condescending to where he's like, he's not afraid to come down to our level and be with us on our level and affiliate with our emotions and kind of embrace us as we go through it, not just to stand back and mock us and give us a hard time for our unbelief. Like, you should have been believing in me. I told you this and that. He cries. This Jesus is the image of the invisible God. He is the visible image of the invisible God. We cannot visibly visify God. We cannot attain God through our eyes. However, Jesus Christ is God manifested in the flesh. So when you see Jesus crying, that's God. The God that we serve is not this up God that's just, not of understanding and having compassion for us. He is a high and mighty God, but at the same time, he's humble. And he comes in and meets us right where we are and loves us and actually cares about the suffering that we're going through. And it's not like, yeah, I care. I do care. You think I don't, but I do. It's not that kind of care. It's, I'm sorry that you guys would have to go through this, but just trust me. It's for your benefit. I will finish. And so you can look to God and know that he does care that you're crying. And he does care about your suffering. Even though you might be crying over something that you brought upon yourself. You may have behaved in a way that was not Christ-like and got yourself into trouble, and now you're crying. Don't expect that God is up there like, I told you, you shouldn't have been doing that. He doesn't like to see you suffering, even if you have brought it on your own self. He doesn't desire that. His heart goes out to the people who suffer, and he offers comfort in the midst of your suffering, even if you brought it upon yourself. God does love, and God does care. Turn to the God of Scripture. Turn to Jesus Christ, and know that you don't have a machine for a God or a tablet meaning these tables of stone with laws written on them, that when you show up to meet God, all you're going to see is a big metal stone that says, thou shalt not kill. You killed, and the two stones smack you or something. No, there's a God there that says, come to me and let me heal you. I will love you. I love you. This is the God of Christianity. This is the God, the creator of the entire existence of all things. Anything that exists. I would say entire galaxy, entire universe, but there's even more. And he created it all. Yet he comes down to us and extends himself to us, asking nothing in return but to rest and believe and trust and allow him to hold us. Oh, the preciousness of Jesus Christ, the patience of an almighty, all-powerful God, yet patience unimaginable, long-suffering, suffering at the hands of wicked people, at the same time extending love and forgiveness to those same wicked people, offering them transformed lives. Have you been living a life that seems to be leading to death? God is offering a new creation to recreate you. Make all things old pass away, and behold, you will be a new creation, brand new. Turn to God. Let him love you. Turn to Christ. Seek him. Find out who he is. This awesome creator that has created you is so loving and so tender. Turn to him.